So let's go back 10 years, a long time ago. And Nataša and I were invited to help redesign from scratch, from the beginning, a new program at UCL. And it took us quite a while. It was quite a difficult process. So afterwards, Nataša and I went back and had to think about it. And we realized that we were working under some quite difficult constraints. The first one was that we and the academics had really not enough time to do this properly. We didn't have any kind of shared design language, so that when we were speaking to academics and they were speaking to us, it was quite hard to work out what we were saying exactly. And of course, in a new program, in any university nowadays, there's this increased complexity of design. We had institutional strategies, we had professional body requirements. There was things we had to think about, accessibility and assessment and flexibility and flexible modes of delivery and so on. There's lots of things that people have to think about when they design a program, but it's very difficult to see the whole student journey, what the experience of the student is as they go through this program. In the UK, and I think many places now, programs are evaluated by the student satisfaction. The students say whether they like the program or not and what the good and bad parts of it. But if we can't see the whole program as designers, as teachers, how are we going to make a satisfying journey for the students? So that was really the challenge that we had before ABC. We needed a method, a better structured method to design our programs.
And a better support network for our academics.
Exactly.
Okay, it seems that it has worked because it's been used in the UK a lot. In Europe and globally, we have 22, 23 translations done by the communities that we are aware of. There may be more, but we don't know. It is being used by different disciplines across institutions and in different contexts. And statistics that you have on the slide here, 1,000+ book downloads in the first week. That's true. We are 2,960 something today. So what was this workshop? We used very respected pedagogic theory by Professor Diana Lorillard, and we are forever grateful for that, because without it, we would not be able to do this method. So we operationalized it, as she said. We designed this method so people work collaboratively in small teams, and they produce storyboard of students' learning journey. So it's very visual, the output, and they go away with that output as well. It's not about what lecturers are doing, it's really about what students will be doing in their course. And we made it rapid. Originally for module designs, it was 90 minutes, and there was a reason for it, as Clive said, because some of our lecturers could not commit for much longer, so we thought lunch break and a little bit longer. But now people actually ask for this on program level, that Karen will talk about a bit later, and it can be longer.
So if you don't have the opportunity to witness or take part of or run an ABC workshop, I mean, the workshop is really the core of the method, if you like. It's not the only thing, but it's the core of it. And if you've done that, you'll see there's a kind of what we call the buzz. And what that is academics discussing the teaching methods, challenging each other, thinking of new things. It's very collaborative. It's very creative. And it's also kind of reflective as well. People think about, does this work, does it not? So the focus, as Nataša says, is on what the students do. So we kind of move away from content to the actual activities the students are doing, and if they make sense within the learning outcomes that they desire. So it's very active workshop, and we can run it for programs and modules as well. So the programs ones are particularly interesting. As part of that workshop, each of the module leaders, they can present their designs to the rest of the group, so we get an idea of what the student experience is across the whole program. And that's a very exciting part of any workshop. We get a kind of holistic view of what happens to the students as they work through a program. And people, it's really hard to do that otherwise. I can't really think of another way to do that. ABC enables that. And of course, then we can think about various aspects of improving the student experience. So the workshop is at the core.
Yes.
So it's based on this kind of face-to-face workshop, this kind of buzz, if you like. Now, obviously, in the 10 years, we've had COVID and all sorts of restrictions. So we've also developed various online versions of it. This is one that we did at UCL quite early on. When you read through the book, and some of the other presenters will be talking about other online approaches. It depends a lot on your local circumstances and the platforms and so on you have. But in essence, you can run these workshops online and they work pretty well. The outcomes are kind of good. You've got nice digital output. It's not quite the same kind of buzz as you get with a live workshop, with a face-to-face in a room workshop. And it's really efficient. Of course, you can bring people in from all different places and so on. So the online one is not a downgrade in any way. It's just a different approach. So when we put the book together, okay, we got lots of people contributing. So we had to think, well, what have we learned over this 10 years? One is that the simplicity, it works. There's always a temptation with these methods to add things on. And we've done that as well at UCL. You'll see what we've done in the next presentation with Karen. But try and keep that kind of simplicity there because it keeps that conversation going. Because, folks, it's a conversation which is more important than the tools and maybe even more important than the products or the design itself. People feel kind of uplifted and validated by that conversation. People often say they feel better as teachers once they've gone through that process with their colleagues. It's quite remarkable. That said, though, it's best if you can adapt it locally, and we'll see lots of different variants of ABC as we go through here, adapted to local circumstances and requirements. It creates this kind of shared language, so that can be used for interdisciplinary programs. That's often quite difficult. So you get, arts and science people speaking together, and engineers and ecologists and so on can speak together, but also cross-disciplinary. We've got an example later on of working between different institutions as well. Why we like it is it works around the way that people, academics really kind of operate, and it respects their knowledge and what they bring into the room and their experience and so on. Of course, it's quite easy to use. We'll hopefully explain that. It's also, we have an open ethos. All the material are downloadable from the website on various types of open licensing. The book itself is from Open Press, UCL Press. You can download it. You can download chapters of it, and it kind of works across many disciplines. And probably the thing that we're most happy about or pleased about is that it's spread largely by word of mouth. People have used it or seen it being used and think, oh, well, I can use this in my department. I can use this in my institution. And that's really the way it's really developed. Nataša?
Yes, so today you will hear from our lovely contributors who wrote the chapters about different uses of ABC. Each chapter is taking slightly different angle. That's how we embedded it into UCL program design support and processes. Another chapter is about reflection and inclusivity. Then it's about faculty development. It's used in online learning design. It's used in teaching. In challenging environments, you will see one chapter about really challenging environments for teachers. We also talk about scaling for professional development in schools. Very exciting there as well. We will hear from François later and Jacques. And also transnational initiatives about sharing language. That will be chapter 11 by EU+, how they adapted it for the group of European universities.
So what you'll see as we go through today, and when you read through the book, that ABC is not really a fixed framework. It's a starting point. It's a design ethos. It's an ethos of collaborative, creative design. Though most people, as you'll see, keep the core elements. There's a sort of shared core that we use across ABC, but it's certainly evolved, so we're really happy about that. And some of the adaptations we didn't really expect, and that's nice as well. So part of the reason today is obviously to explore the use of ABC, the practical uses, the case studies, but also we'd like to ask of you, we'd like to think how we can develop this community. ABC has grown really largely through people contributing and exchanging ideas. How can we continue this? How can we take this journey forward for the next 10 years or whatever?
And I think that's it. We will ask you a couple of questions towards the end of this webinar, and we will share all these resources for you.